Australian Survivalists. Clay from Australian Survivalism here. Just going to talk to you today about Australian preparedness, or the lack of it, and the attitude that that some people have towards it. Now, when I talk about preparedness, I'm not talking about a doomsday prepper hoarding guns and ammunition and building an underground bunker in preparation for the zombie apocalypse, or the worldwide pandemic, or the collapse of civilization. I'm just talking about basic stuff like preparing for storms, flooding, cyclones, fire, things that you should, in my opinion, have in this country that we live. For me, prepping it's an insurance policy. People prepare in everyday life by having insurance for their car, for their house, for their life. Fire, theft, flooding, all of these insurances, but they have this this stigma towards people that have insurance policies for other things. Like me, for instance, I have plenty of water stored on the property. I have plenty of food stored on the property. I have simple things such as this to ensure the continuity of my life and my family's life. If we were flooded in for any extended period of time, I've got the gear here to keep us going. I don't need to rely on emergency services to come and save us when quite possibly, in any sort of catastrophic event, emergency services could quite well never make it. They could be so snowed under that they just might not make it to us. So, there are a few simple things that you should have on hand so that you can look after yourself. I like being self-sufficient and not relying on everyone else to look after me. After all, it's my responsibility to look after my family, and I like being in control of that. And I'm really surprised that other people don't have this mindset. The people that I have spoken to about this think that I'm a little bit crazy. In my opinion, I think you're not in control, and you are crazy for not having a mindset such as this. But there's a few basics that people really should have. The basis of survival is water. Do you know how to procure clean drinking water from a dirty source? How much water have you got stored on your property? Do you have a water tank? If you don't have a water tank, do you have some containers of water? The 10-litre containers that you get from Woolies or Coles. Have you got a filtration system? Do you have a life straw? Do you have a Sawyer Mini? Do you know how to make an improvised charcoal water filter? Simple stuff. Water is number one priority of survival, yet people don't know where to find it if it doesn't come out of a tap. That really perplexes me. Food, number two. If you are in your house and you're not leaving, if for whatever reason, say you might be flooded in. If it's a fire, obviously you're going to be leaving. But if it's a flood, then and you're still in your home, then food as a priority of survival comes next. Shelter is obviously very high up on the list, but if you're staying in your home, then shelter is already covered. So we've done water. What about food? Do you have food growing in your backyard, because I can tell you now, once if it's flooding and or if it's a power outage, your fridge and freezer food, your fridge and freezer food are only going to last so long. What do you do once you've eaten all of the food in the fridge and the freezer and the pantry? Do you have food growing in your backyard? Do you have a food storage system? Do you have anything as a backup? I mean, even the SES says that we should have 3 days worth of water, 3 days worth of food, because even they know that it's quite possible that they are not going to get to us, and kids might be going hungry. I don't want that for my family, but anyway. So, water, food, first aid. It amazes me just people don't have first aid kits in their car or in their home. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of people do. I'm generalising a little bit there, but most people I know don't even have a stocked, improved first aid kit. I mean, you can go to Woolies or Coles and buy, or BCF and buy a first aid kit, but it needs to be tailored to specifically to what you know and what you need. Having a first aid kit on hand, and not only a first aid kit, but knowing how to use the contents. Do a St. John's first aid course. Do some training. Get your CPR. Get your senior first aid. And these are things that training such as this are. Your workplace can provide some of this stuff. You don't need to go and spend hundreds of dollars. If you just put your hand up at work and say, look, I would like to become a first aid officer, oftentimes your workplace is only too happy to send you off to get trained, and that's a valuable skill to have. Another thing is cash on hand. What if the power were to go out? What if there's a destructive storm and none of the ATMs are working? What are you going to do if there's no cash? And you can get to the store, you're flooded in, but the general store is there, and they're not going to be giving away stuff for free. They're still going to want cash, and you might have 10, 20 bucks in your wallet, but might pay to just have like a little stash of maybe 300 or 400 bucks on hand in the house or in the car, somewhere where obviously only you know where it's hidden, so it's not hidden underneath your mattress, so that if you get burgled or whatever, the thieves is going to go and know where to find it. Put it in a place, in a location where only you know about. And if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have access to an ATM, or electronic funds transfers are down, you can't do any of that, the electricity grid is down, you've got some cash to be able to buy yourself some stuff. Having a bug out bag also, if you're in a situation where it's, say for instance, a fire, having a bag ready to go to just pick up and get the hell out it's imperative. You don't want to be wasting precious time running around the house looking for all of the stuff that you could have had already packed in a bag, ready to go. Your bob, or your bug out bag, is absolutely essential. Absolutely essential. It's up there with water, food, first aid, cash on hand, and your bug out bag. Why people aren't packing a bag full of essentials and having it ready to go beforehand is absolutely beyond me. It's perplexing. Communications. Heaven forbid your phone battery runs flat and you're stuck, you don't have any power, you're flooded in. Just a set of, relatively affordable, say, I'm not giving them a plug here, but offhand, say Uniden handheld, 2-watt radios to be able to communicate with, the outside world from, say 5 kilometers away. You've got a 5-kilometer radius with one of those little 2-watters, and to be able to let people know that you are here, that you are still alive, that you are okay, because hey, look, I've got water, I've got food, I've got my first aid, I'm okay, but come and get us out. Simple things like this are absolute necessities in my opinion, and this is the just the beginning of preparedness. I mean, I could talk about security, but in Australia we aren't allowed to own firearms for security purposes. That right is reserved for the police force and our armed forces. In Australia, we can own firearms, but they are specifically for sports shooting, hunting, or you're a primary producer on the land. But we are allowed to have firearms. Those of you in America that think that we are, we don't have any firearms whatsoever, it's a fallacy. We do have them. We need to jump through a whole lot of hoops to get them, and I'm fine with that, because I like having my firearms, and I'm fine with whatever rules that they put on me having them. I passed all the tests, and that's a whole other issue. I'm going off track a little bit here, but please get yourselves prepared to a point where you can be self-sufficient for at least 72 hours, and then once you've got that sorted, you can build on top of it and have all of the other cool toys that I find a whole lot of fun when I delve right into my preparedness. But basics: water, food, first aid, cash on hand, having a bug out bag, communications, it's all pretty basic stuff. So anyway, that's my rave. If you like the video, please like, comment and subscribe. I'll get back to your comments as soon as I possibly can, but I hope you find this informative and helpful, and I hope it helps someone out. Anyway, Clay from Australian Survivalism out.